Simply put, the Good Jobs for a Green World plan is a free market solution to building back better than the Green New Deal. That without requiring an additional piece of legislation, we can drive global markets faster than the Paris Climate Accords. Food, energy, and waste are the pillars of a regenerative economy. And as we mainstream this economy, war, poverty, and addiction to the carbon economy will fade away, being replaced by hydrogen, by local living systems, and by bringing nature to the business table as a profitable partner. That is how we end this climate crisis. That is how we move to the next generation of challenges of becoming an interstellar species while making sure that we nurture and care for the garden that we have here, that is our home. This proposal grew out of the Economic Development Administration's Good Job Challenge, a $45 million workforce development program designed to empower marginalized communities. We saw this as a great opportunity to begin the process of training the next generation of permaculture professionals to build a brighter world for us all. Because frankly, even if we had a fully supported government and corporate backing, we simply don't have the people trained to do this kind of work. And we need to be focusing on the training to standardize the practices so we can help create jobs for people that are fulfilling, provide a living wage, and at the same time give them that fulfillment of creating and contributing to something greater than themselves. By utilizing the eco-district tools and the mixed-use eco-village model to drive private equity investments into the capacity building of communities large and small through food, energy, and zero waste campaigns that make them resilient and adaptable to a rapidly changing climate. There is a very real connection between science fiction and science fact. It's called research and development. It's the job of an inspired individual to put their talents and their experience to work, building a brighter world for us all. And over the years, science fiction has inspired many positive things that have moved our world forward, and there's a very strong connection between aerospace and the Earth Day movement and how we see ourselves as one family sharing one home with one job to preserve it and pass along to the next generation a world full of bounty, opportunity, and joy. While some groups may be content to wait and see if they won the prize, which we will find out this summer, we saw this as a team-building exercise and a way to frame in the business opportunities for the remainder of the decade. If you've ever been to Alaska, or any truly natural and wild space, you know what naturally inspiring means. Because it can draw up all kinds of wonderful feelings of connection and inspires art and literature and science and innovation. And that is the real wealth that we have. Alaska is also special because we are a small community in a big state, and we're spread out by vast wilderness, which while we struggle to grow an economy to meet our needs, while preserving the natural bounty of the world for those who come after. And in every place, you'll hear the same story of connection, of hope, of love for the land, for the people, and the world. While we must summon the collective courage to challenge the authority of the utilities, of the oil companies, of these corporations that are run like cartels, and these governments that are run like corporations. We have to remember, we buy these products. We have created this world together, And together, we have to find a way forward. Vilifying, demonizing, and being argumentative isn't getting us anywhere. At the end of the day, protests bring awareness to an issue, and now we need action. We need a fresh perspective on how we can marry our economy and our environment, how you can bridge the gaps between prosperity and profit, how jobs can create the pathway to a healthier and vibrant future, how by seeing nature as an economic partner, we can create systems that produce multiple streams of revenue, passive and active. We can create systems that lower the cost of living and improve the quality of life for all. We create policies that nurture the economic environment that propel our values and principles into the future. But to overcome these challenges, we must see beyond politics. We must recognize that change is an inevitability, but growth is the option. Growth is the choice that we make to stay where we are or to let go of who we are so that we may become who we were meant to be. Crossing the chasm of creative evolution is also an area where diversity has served us well. Pioneers, innovators, these are the early adopters that move us forward and create the momentum for us to bridge these gaps, for us to overcome these challenges. And to the utilities and the oil companies that feel threatened and challenged by these new ideas, please remember that when Henry Ford brought his innovation to the country, the barons of the day tried to fight. And in the end, they found that it was ultimately more profitable and better for everyone when we start working together and utilizing the innovation which is the founding of this world to create a better one for the next generation. We've all heard words like things are ending or we're going off a cliff. And these are indicators that we have an opportunity to change, that we have an opportunity to look at the experiences before us and to grow from them, becoming the next version of our best selves. These last 2 years with the pandemic and all of the challenges and crises we have faced have also shown us the beauty of humanity and the resilience of the natural world to heal the damage done by over a century of short-term, profit-driven decision-making. These are the challenges of our time. These are the challenges that create a stronger and more robust society. Communism, capitalism, socialism, these are all terms we've used to create the world, to define who we are. And we must recognize that as we move into this new world, we too must become new people. We must recognize what now serves us and what no longer does, so we may make space for new skills, new experiences, and new opportunities that allow us to come together, that allow us to celebrate in our diversity the strength that we bring to every situation and how together we can overcome the most pressing of challenges. By now, most people are familiar with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Mild ambitions to create a better world based around focused areas of improvement and development. The challenge is it's not the systems themselves that necessarily need to change, but the connections between systems, like the connection between our economic health, our environmental health, and our social health. We cannot exchange one for another, and we cannot ignore one to feed another. More importantly, we need to create a system of innovation where all feel like they have a choice and are included in the decision-making process. The challenge is that the governments of the world have had 60 years or more to address these issues, and they have chosen not to. Common, average citizens recognize that what we are doing is damaging ourselves and our future, but we keep making these same decisions. One good example is we recognize that it cost only $70 million to build a vertical farm, but it cost $78 million to build a single fighter plane. And while we talk about curbing emissions, and while we talk about making changes, the governments of the world continue to support policies that do the exact opposite. They continue to push and support policies for a system that no longer works in this world, for a system of addiction, of consumption, and ultimately of abuse. We're abusing ourselves, we're abusing each other, and we're abusing the world that nurtures all of us. And in order for us to have a future, we have to start making different decisions. We have to start seeing the challenges we're facing as the opportunities to grow. And we have to start looking at the ways that we can reorganize our priorities so that on this one planet, this one people can have one purpose of ensuring the best is yet to come for humanity. The Good Jobs Plan reorganizes our priorities and focuses on empowering people at the local level to use food sovereignty as a key for economic development. It has been said that if you want to lead the people, you need to feed the people. Well, food has often been used as a tool of control, manipulation, and intimidation. So I wonder what the world would be like if people were given the tools and the knowledge to feed themselves and those around them. Let's find out. For far too long, the means of production have been controlled by a few. And in the areas of food production, this has become disastrous on so many levels. What we produce now in monoculturing, in large-scale corporate operations, hardly can be considered food. The preservatives, the chemicals, everything that goes into our food products is only tested in very small, isolated incidents. There's no research done on long-term cumulative effects. And we see the damage that all these chemicals can do to our environment. We know that they're doing the same thing to our bodies. And at the same time, it feeds the addiction of the pharmaceutical industry, where we're eating poor quality food, so we have to take vitamins and supplements, and then we have to take all these pills to combat the depression and the anxiety that comes with being filled full of chemicals. Food is a powerful tool for self-discovery. Food is a powerful tool for healing, not just your body or your mind or your spirit, but your connection with the earth and with the community. The Good Jobs Plan is really about investing in people. And we know that right now, we as a society collectively invest roughly $50,000 a year into keeping someone incarcerated or dealing with them as a homeless person. $50,000 a year is right on the cusp of a living wage. And as we are able to train individuals to do what they love and to express themselves through their careers rather than working for a living only to do what they love. This is how we start to change things. And it doesn't take a great deal of degree to grow food. And if you're not good with growing food, perhaps there are other ways that you can contribute. Gardens need garden boxes. Grants need to be written. Policies and applications need to be filled out. Events need to be organized, documented, and shared. There is a tremendous amount of opportunity for us all to work together, and food is the common denominator that allows us as a species, as a nation, as a community, and as an individual to return control of the decision-making process to educated and engaged individuals. While originally organized in response to a grant, the Good Jobs for a Green World plan is now the core of ARC's expansion plan for the remainder of the decade as we seek to provide support for the development and the mainstream adoption of the regenerative economy. As we move from the carbon to the hydrogen economy, as we move from scarcity to generational abundance. The Butterfly Renaissance is the organizing partnership between nonprofits, for-profits, government entities, and individuals who are all pursuing the higher calling of how we can become the next best version of our collective selves. Of those organizations, the Bridge Eco Village provides a context for collaboration at multiple scales. Mixed-use commercial developments can be profitable for the people and the planet. The Ecodistrict's protocols create the business plan that allows organizations and efforts to communicate their goals in a uniform fashion that allows them to attract the private and public funding to make it necessary. Kepler Shipyards brings a vital component to this mix of technology, of aerospace, of our highest calling, and utilizes those resources to solve the most basic challenges of our world. For too long, we have been looking at solutions in isolated little boxes. We've utilized our limited knowledge to see the world in a limited way. And these last couple of years have given us a true opportunity to open our eyes and see a new world emerging and to be part of that world. And in order to do that, we must reach beyond the traditional boundaries of politics, of our civic circles, of our social influence, and genuinely reach out to make connections with other people, especially those who have a different political, economic, and social view. So many problems can be solved when we just sit down and talk. And sometimes the best way to sit down and talk is over a good meal. So providing potlucks and block parties are the beginning foundations for true intentional communities that grow into resilient cities and create a healthy and vibrant world. In 2012, one of the first things that ARC did was to put on a Resilient City conference. It was basically the same idea that we're promoting today with the Regenerative Planet Summit. But back then, we still had the opportunity to mitigate some of these damages that we've caused. We had a chance to limit the damage that we were causing. Today, it's all about adaptation. Today, it's all about thriving in a rapidly changing world. And the summit was designed to create a milepost for measuring in the remainder of the decade the progress we're making in making this important transition from a carbon to a hydrogen economy. From centralized power driven by fossil fuels to decentralized energy provided by a multitude of clean energy options on site. These are the tools that create more choices. These are the tools that create freedom at all levels. So one of the main priorities for this summit was to give you, the viewer, tools that you can take back into your community and start implementing wherever you're at with whatever tools you have in order to start creating this better and brighter world we're all hoping for. This chart allows you to organize yourself around a project that can help you grow. And once you've tackled a small project, invite others into a larger project. We have discovered over the years that there's millions of dollars being driven in to the green economy. Private equity investments into resilient infrastructure that provide for us all so we can provide for each other without the expense of destroying the world, which is critical to all of us. So regardless of where you're at, you can use this chart to identify who you are, to focus on the three key components of a regenerative economy, to identify action plans within those frameworks, and to put together a workable plan where we can bring people together and carry out small solutions that grow into larger solutions. That is how we create a better world. The Regenerative Planet Summit is an opportunity for us to come together and share our best practices and to take those best practices back into our community for the next year. So as we move forward, we can grow together. And this is the contribution that we are proud to make to the world. And we thank you so much for honoring us with your presence today.